Hello, bronies. It's me, it's Clayton, and I just got to see the most recent episode, 28 Pranks Later. Now, when I heard that this episode was going to focus on Rainbow Dash and was going to focus on a synopsis that's very similar to Mysterious Mare Do-Well, I immediately cringed, considering we all know how well Mysterious Mare Do-Well went, right? But the way I see it, FM DeMarco and Megan McCarthy made an episode that's what Mysterious Mare Do-Well should have been. But I'll get to that a bit later. What's the story? Well, Rainbow Dash has been pranking everyone in Ponyville, and let's just say every pony has gotten sick of her constant pranks, which range from the funny to the not so funny to the meta type of humorous. So it's up to Pinkie Pie decides to create a different type of prank for Rainbow Dash, as Rainbow Dash plans to prank the entire town with a bunch of Girl Scout cookies, or Philly Scout cookies in this case. And the prank she comes up with, I won't spoil because you have to see it for yourself. Now, 28 Pranks Later has a whole bunch of stuff going for it. It has the catharsis of seeing a character like Rainbow Dash get her just desserts without insulting her character or the audience's intelligence, which was the problem I had with Mysterious Mare Do-Well. But the thing is, when it comes to these types of episodes, I think the bronies are going to get angry at them anyways when I have to explain certain things to you. Rainbow Dash is a very thick-headed and stubborn type of character. She's sort of like Avatar Korra. You need to really work hard and work through a lot of actions to get her to learn a lesson. It's kind of tough love, in my opinion. It's sort of like what Josh Scorcher said about Mysterious Mare Do-Well. When your pranks involve having Spike send hundreds upon hundreds of letters to Princess Celestia to the point where it floods her castle, I think you can say she went too far. Though that moment was sort of funny for me because it's sort of like Spike getting his sweet revenge, in an unintentional way, for how Celestia sent all those letters back to Twilight in the Season 2 opener. Anyways, because Rainbow Dash is so thick-headed and stubborn, some people probably would have wanted the episode Mysterious Mare Do-Well to cover all their bases by having the friends attempt to talk to Rainbow Dash, which they actually do in this episode. This time, they covered all their bases by having the friends talk to Rainbow Dash about stopping her pranking rather than just talking on the sidelines and going behind her back. Well, technically, they did go out behind her back, but they only did that after they realized that talking to Rainbow Dash simply wouldn't work. So at least they actually did that, which was my big problem with Mysterious Mare Do-Well. That they didn't do that, they just went behind her back without any indication, and they even decided to completely act like hypocrites by boasting about Mysterious Mare Do-Well when they were getting on Rainbow Dash's nerves about boasting. Here, the prank they come up with is actually pretty interesting, considering it gets the whole town involved in a good way, and they don't really hurt Rainbow Dash at all through it. They just scare her in the same way that Rainbow Dash scares Fluttershy and the other ponies. Because that's what her pranks are. They're somewhat elaborate and they're a bit annoying at first, but they're relatively harmless all things considered. They just got annoyed. Like, I'd get annoyed if someone was constantly pranking me. So what are the other things that I liked about this episode? Well, I really liked all the animation throughout. The team at DHX, of course, always does a fantastic job, but this episode really is one that caught my eye, especially with the opening and throughout most of the ending sequences. It's slick, it's full of color, it's full of life, and surprisingly, despite the fact that this episode is named after one of the most famous zombie movies ever made, it's surprisingly a lot more happy-go-lucky and fun than I expected, as the episode actually does take a little bit of time to get to the prank, and consists mostly of humorous pranks. Thankfully, the pranks themselves are pretty funny, mainly due to Ashley Ball's performance and because of the performances of all the other characters. But this does bring up a question that I've had. Considering that there are Girl Scout cookies in this universe, I wonder what other things from American culture they're going to bring to Ponyville. But we'll leave the speculations for later. This episode was written by FM DeMarco, who is a new writer, and unlike Meriwether Williams, who really made me despise her type of writing, because of Mysterious Mare Do-Well, FM DeMarco here really impressed me. She understands these characters, and this episode still has the classic fast-paced slice-of-life humor that the series is known for. And it's nice that she ended up writing a story that has the cathartic effect of having Rainbow Dash gets her just desserts without completely insulting her character or the audience throughout. I'm actually rather shocked. This episode looked like it was going to be one of the worst of the season when it turned out to be a very fun ride that managed to catch my eye with its animation, its voice acting, and the culmination of the episode. If you mix that in with a bunch of funny moments and some legitimately good character moments for Rainbow Dash, it's almost like FM DeMarco was saying gotcha to the audience who thought that this whole episode was going to be a big farce. So, because of that, I give 28 Pranks Later an 8 out of 10. You should see it. My only big problem with the episode is the fact that, like I said, it takes a little bit of time to get to the prank, but once it does, trust me, you'll feel like it's Dead Rising meets Resident Evil to the extreme. And I mean that in the best way possible. See you later.